Jerry and Sylvia Lynn's story begins in a quiet suburb of Ross, Pennsylvania, where they have lived for more than 13 years. Their house, a modest family home filled with memories, laughter, and the usual hum of everyday life, held an unusual secret tone that had quietly persisted, echoing through the walls at the same time every evening. For 13 years, without fail, a strange and unnerving noise would erupt from inside the walls of their home. It was a noise so distinct and persistent that it became impossible to ignore. Every evening, at precisely the same time, the house would begin to shake ever so slightly, as if rattled by a force just beyond comprehension. The noise started softly, almost like a faint beeping, but it quickly grew louder and more insistent, shaking the structure of the house as the minutes passed. It lasted for about a minute each night, a brief but intense disruption in the quiet rhythm of the Lynn's home. Visitors, unaccustomed to the strange sound, often reacted with surprise or alarm, while Jerry and Sylvia, after years of hearing it, had learned to live with it, almost as if it were part of the house itself. The Lynn's unusual predicament eventually caught the attention of local media, and in 2017, CNN ran a story on the mysterious noise. When interviewed, Jerry described the sound as kind of cute, comparing it to a noisy, hidden house pet that refused to be silent. Sylvia added that despite its irritating qualities, the noise was predictable, happened every day at the same time, and lasted roughly a minute. To the couple, this predictability made it easier to endure. But when Jerry and Sylvia considered the noise's cumulative effect over 13 years, they realized they had listened to that alarm for nearly 3 full days' worth of time. That kind of constant interruption could fray anyone's nerve. The genesis of the mysterious noise dates back to September of 2004, during what should have been a routine home improvement project. Jerry, like many homeowners, was struggling to connect a complicated array of home entertainment wires. The frustration of threading cables through walls and floors is something many can relate to, and Jerry was no exception. Faced with the daunting task, he devised a plan to make it easier: punch holes in the wall and run the wires through them. However, before drilling, Jerry needed to ensure the areas he planned to pierce were free of electrical wires, pipes, or anything that could cause damage or danger. To solve this, Jerry came up with a clever idea. He decided to tie a small object to a string and lower it into the wall cavity from an upstairs air vent. The idea was simple. If the object could move freely without obstruction, the space was safe to drill into. Jerry chose a small digital alarm clock for the Tasca device, compact enough to fit inside the narrow wall cavity, and loud enough to make a noise when its alarm sounded. He set the alarm to go off 10 minutes after lowering it, estimating that he would have enough time to return downstairs and listen carefully to its beeps, guiding his drill placement. With the plan in place, Jerry started lowering the clock down the wall cavity through the vent. However, fate intervened when the clock unexpectedly slipped from his fingers. The string jerked upward as the clock disappeared out of sight, hitting the floor inside the wall cavity with a solid clunk. Jerry realized immediately that the clock was lost behind the walls, stuck in a place he could not reach without major renovation. At first, Jerry was not overly worried. The clock was near the floor, and he hoped that the alarm would still sound, guiding him to a safe drilling spot. He also assumed that the batteries powering the clock would run out within a few months, meaning the alarm would eventually stop. He told CNN years later that he expected the alarm to cease by Christmas of that year and considered the situation a minor inconvenience. But Christmas came and went, and the alarm did not stop. Year after year, for 13 long years, the clock's alarm continued to sound every evening, reliably waking Jerry and Sylvia's neighbors, startling guests, and shaking the walls. The batteries inside the clock never failed as expected. When technicians finally removed the clock, they found the batteries corroded but still functional, and they were branded Rayovac, a brand known for longevity and quality. Because the clock was stuck behind the wall and inaccessible, Jerry and Sylvia could not reset the alarm for daylight savings time. As a result, the alarm would sound at 10 minutes to 8 during one half of the year and at 10 minutes to 7 during the other half. Over time, Jerry and Sylvia learned to ignore the alarm's insistent beeping. Sylvia described it to reporters as a gentle buildup from soft beeps to a more urgent series of tones. Jerry joked that the alarm had become a kind of conversation piece for visitors, though it often startled them when it began unexpectedly. Despite the disruption, the couple did not want to tear down their walls or remodel the house to retrieve the clock. They reasoned that the alarm would stop eventually. 13 years later, the noise remained a peculiar part of their lives, a reminder of that one minor home improvement project gone awry. The story gained wider attention when two men from a local heating and air conditioning company, Don McLucci and Keith Anderson, saw the news reports and decided they might be able to help. With modern tools and a bit of expertise that Jerry did not have when the clock was lost, Don and Keith set out to locate the clock without needing to break through the walls. After some effort and careful searching through the home's air vent system, Don finally spotted the small clock hiding inside the ductwork near the garage. Using special tools, they were able to fish the clock out of its hiding place and bring it back into the daylight. Keith explained in an interview that this was the first time he had ever removed a clock from inside a duct system, and it was a unique experience. When they opened the battery compartment, they found that the batteries were corroded but still powering the clock. The quality of the Rayovac batteries was impressive, lasting more than a decade inside a sealed, forgotten space. Jerry could barely recall what the clock looked like after all those years of hearing its persistent alarm. The clock was a travel alarm, digital, and Jerry confirmed that the style was exactly what he had expected. Reflecting on the experience, Jerry remained proud of his original plan. He told reporters that while the execution was flawed, the idea was sound. What began as a simple solution to a common problem had grown into a long-running mystery and a source of amusement, frustration, and media attention. Jerry and Sylvia now plan to keep the clock as a keepsake, giving it a place of pride in their home, symbolizing the unusual story and their ability to live with it for so long. They hope to display it near the center of a table where it can remind them and visitors of the strange and unexpected things that life can throw at you. The story of the Lynns and their 13-year alarm clock is a reminder of how life sometimes surprises us with challenges that become part of our daily routine, how people adapt to the strangest situations, and how humor can be found even in the most persistent annoyances. This peculiar tale also highlights the resilience and patience of a couple who embraced the unusual soundtrack to their lives, turning what could have been a source of constant frustration into a quirky story to share with the world. And when the clock was finally freed from its hidden prison, it closed the chapter on a mystery that had lasted longer than anyone could have imagined. Their story remains a fascinating example of how a simple household accident can ripple through years, becoming an unexpected legacy, a symbol of endurance, and a testament to the power of a little patience and a lot of beeping.